is your usual suspects. Welcome back to yet another live broadcast on your favorite football updates channel. That's at Footballtribe UG. And so thank you so much to all our usual suspects, you know, fan favorites, people that do frequent this channel every single day. We do really appreciate you for every little bit of effort that you put in. That time you dedicate to watching the Footballtribe UG is not taken for granted. My man Kasuku Kuku Wazabanga, thank you so much for the birthday shoutouts earlier on today. Much appreciated. My brother from Kasuku Live. From Kasuku Live, Kuku Wazabanga Semaningini, a Manchester United Adherent fan and a Uganda Cranes fan, of course, there. Meanwhile, as we do get into the thick of tonight's broadcast, we'll be following the updates at the same time from the FIFA Club World Cup round of 16 between Chelsea and Benfica. That game is still goalless. Chelsea being a bit clumsy in their backline, conceding possession in the dangerous areas, but they are lucky that they have yet to concede. And then, of course, in the earlier game that was between Pyramides and Botafogo, we had Pyramides advance at the expense of Botafogo with Paulinho scoring the only goal of the game in the 100th minute of that game, of course, in extra time, to ensure that Pyramides did cruise to victory to advance to the quarterfinals at the expense of Botafogo. Of course, my personal prediction had been that Botafogo would be the ones to advance and then go on to take on Chelsea at the quarterfinals. But looks like Pyramides got the better of them thanks to Paulinho's goal. And in this particular game, 14 minutes played and it's still goalless between Benfica and Chelsea. Maybe we'll get to look at Chelsea's starting lineup and perhaps that of Benfica, including their usual suspect in there in Pavlidis. So thank you so much. If you're just joining us, you're joining the Footballtribe UG channel. Robert Kesakos is my name, and I'm coming to you live from Kampala, Uganda. Meanwhile, guys, today is my birthday. Yes, today is my birthday. So please send those birthday shoutouts. I send them through. And as a birthday gift, the birthday gift that you can give me, maybe 2. Subscribe to the channel, like this podcast. That's the best birthday gift you can give me today. But thank you so much. Do let me know where you're joining us from. Hi, bro. How are you doing? Let me see what your name is. Amireza. Hi, Amireza. How are you doing, my brother? Where are you joining us from? So right now I'm welcoming birthday gifts, but birthday gifts in the form of a subscription to the channel and a like to this broadcast. Those are the gifts that I'm hoping for tonight, really. But thank you so much for the love and support. Team India, Team Turkey, UK, United States, Kenya. I can't type right now because my dog is in my arms sleeping. That's a funny one. Jen message. Thank you for your comments. How are you doing, my brother? Hope you're doing well. Please, guys, please like the broadcast and give me that birthday gift as well. Give me that birthday gift. Simply subscribe to the channel and like the broadcast. That's the best gift you can give me at the moment. And help this community grow. Help me on this path of growth, on growing this channel. That's at Footballtribe UG, where we always bring you the latest from the world of football, particularly in the Premier League and slightly beyond, depending on what's the major news is, going around. Of course, tonight there's plenty to speak about when it comes to transfers, when it comes to the FIFA Club World Cup. Like I said, at the moment we are following updates from the FIFA Club World Cup in that game between Chelsea and Benfica. But thank you so much for the usual suspects. Pressing Kosi, Peter Parker, February, Ashley Cabrera, There's a brother of mine from Nigeria called John Joseph. Yes. There's the Yellow Dayak. That's from Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. Thank you so much, guys. You know, Explorer, is it Extroin? Yes, Extroin from India, and everybody else. James Edits, H Games, all of you guys. Thank you so much for the love and support. Really, really. It is quite, impressive that you continue to support this channel. Anyways, briefly away from the FIFA Club World Cup, let's go to the world of transfers because there is a lot of major news going in there. Chelsea and Newcastle embroiled in a bidding war for João Pedro to try and lure him from Brighton and Hove Albion. Brighton and Hove Albion are willing to sell. Newcastle are interested in buying. Chelsea are interested in buying. Arsenal are interested. No bid. That's it. There you have it. So Chelsea are really, really fully involved in that João Pedro deal. The 23-year-old Brazilian international has attracted interest from a whole host of Premier League clubs. Now, Brighton want £60 million, nothing more, nothing less. And they have turned down two bids from two Premier League clubs. That's Newcastle and the other unnamed club, which I told you guys yesterday is Chelsea. And according to Fabrizio Romano, Chelsea are being fully involved in João Pedro deal as reported. Talks are taking place as Chelsea remain interested since the start of June, with João as a next target after Jamie Gittens done. I told you this to you yesterday when the news sufficed that Brighton had turned down a bid from Newcastle in the excess of worth £50 million for João Pedro and another unknown Premier League club or unnamed Premier League club. And I told you it was Chelsea, to the best of my guess. I told you it was either Chelsea or Arsenal, but more likely Chelsea. So there you have it in regards to the update on João Pedro. Wow, what a save. We've had the goal line clearance in that game between Chelsea and Benfica. Marco Cucurella was going for the top corner, managed, I think, to beat the goalkeeper, and there was a defender waiting on the back line, had, slotted in there as if it was a set piece kick, and he cleared that ball with his header off the line, literally. Impressive there. Anyways, quickly, Chelsea have sealed a deal to sign Jamie Gittens from Borussia Dortmund, and the transfer fee is close to £55 million. That's according to Fabrizio Romano. The contract agreed between the player and the Chelsea camp is a 7-year contract. That means it runs until June 2032. So it's no longer a secret. Chelsea always put their players or their signings on very, very long-term contracts, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years. Cole Palmer here forcing the Benfica goalkeeper into another brilliant save on the night. So Chelsea have gotten that deal over the line. The player has just completed his medicals in the United States of America to complete a move to Chelsea. We're going to discuss a little bit more about that in regards to Jamie Gittens. But let me first briefly bring you up to speed in regards to that Chelsea game on what the starting 11s look like, especially on the side of Chelsea. They do have Robert Sanchez in goal, Bernard Badiashile alongside Levi Colwill in centre back, Marco Cucurella at left back, and Richie James, the captain, at right back. In midfield, they have Moises Caicedo and Romeo Lavia, and ahead of them is Enzo Fernandez alongside Cole Palmer and Pedro Neto, with Liam Delap leading the lines. On the side of Benfica, they have Anatoly Trubin, Frederick Ausensi, Antonio Silva, Nicolas Otamendi, and Samuel Dahl are there in the back four. They do have Florentino Luis. They do have Lisandro Barreiro. Yes, in midfield, Angelo Di Maria, Koku, Andres, and of course Vangelis Pavlidis. So that's the starting lineup there for Benfica, and it's been really, really impressive. But what a save! What a goal line clearance save that was! Wow, impressive! Of course, Bruno Lage, the manager for Benfica. For those of you that do remember him, he was in the Premier League at Wolverhampton Wanderers, although he didn't spend long there and he left. Bruno Lage, very, very good manager, really. But that's a starting 11 for Chelsea. It's 23 minutes in and the game is still goalless. Returning back to the world of transfers, we was still speaking about Jamie Gittens. That deal, like I've told you, is as good as done. His medical is being done has been done in the United States of America after Dortmund gave the authorization to the player to do the medicals. So Chelsea had made 3 bids. The first 2 bids were turned down. The first one was in the excess of 35 million euros. The following one was about 42 million pounds. That's in the region of about 50 million euros. And then the very latest, is about 55 million pounds to sign the 20-year-old England international from Borussia Dortmund. He's been one of the priority targets for Chelsea in this transfer window. Of course, among other names on that shortlist, the likes of Nico Williams, the likes of Rafael Leao, are names that had been mentioned along the echelons of Chelsea, but they have gotten their deal finally done for Jamie Gittens. So he will be a Chelsea player. It will be interesting how Chelsea shape up next season. Of course, Bruno Lage, the Benfica manager, was being asked about João Pedro. Remember, João Pedro left Benfica to join Atletico Madrid. So he spoke really, really in high regard of him. And he said he's currently on holiday, so they can't really say much about that. But there are Saudi Pro League clubs that are also interested in João Pedro. In João Neves. Sorry, I've mixed up. João Felix. Yes, João Felix is a player that, sorry about. There's João Pedro, João Neves, João Felix, so many Joaos, but we are talking about João Felix, the Chelsea player. So Bruno Lage was, speaking in glowing colors about him recently, and he's a player that they admired. He's a player that they would love to take back. I'm not sure the name it they're asking fee, but given that he's on a very, very long-term contract with Chelsea, I wouldn't rule out a loan deal. A loan deal for a player like João Felix. So let's wait and see how that will happen in the coming days. But it's a done deal for Jamie Gittens to join Chelsea. Let's wait and see how they assemble their starting 11 going into next season. Of course, this summer we cannot rule out the possibility of Chelsea signing a goalkeeper, especially after they expressed interest in signing Mike Maynard from AC Milan. Let's wait on that as well. They will still be in the market to try and sign a striker, and that's why they are interested in João Pedro from Brighton and Hove Albion. But they also have interest in Emmanuel Emega from Strasbourg. They also have interest in Hugo Ekitike from Eintracht Frankfurt. That's Chelsea, as far as Chelsea are concerned. Then the other news is regarding the former Al Hilal manager in George Jesus, because he has agreed to become the Al Nassr manager. And according to Fabrizio Romano, Cristiano Ronaldo gave the green light. Now, I don't know when it started, but it seems to be a growing trend among football stars that somehow they get to have an input on who the next manager is of a particular club. Now, it's not very common that it does happen, but it is happening at certain levels. When you go to Montreal, Sergio Ramos, the kind of contract he has, a lot of exclusives there. He decides what games to play, he's a captain, and so many things. Now, for Lionel Messi, it's a bit of a commercial deal, but I'm sure, 100% certain, okay, 99.8% certain that if Inter Miami were to have a change of managers, he would have a say in that. Not that he would be on the committee that decides who the next manager is, but in regards to getting a pick of who one of the final names would be, for example, if they have a short list of 3, and it will be put to him that, look, these are the names we are looking at as our next managers, and you would have to point a finger in some form or shape that's the one I would love to work with. It's happened with Cristiano Ronaldo at Al Nassr, where he also just renewed his contract by 2 years, by the way, just the other day. So I know, I do not know what that means for football, because I do imagine in maybe 5, 10 years to come, and you have young stars or young players that are getting sort of to be part of these decisions, that should be made by entirely and strictly by the top bosses or the top brass, the technical people at the clubs, as opposed to having these players inputs because of what commercially it means to them. But let's wait and see. But George Jesus will be the next Al Nassr manager because Al Nassr did part ways with Stefano Pioli. Speaking of Stefano Pioli, is going to be the manager at Fiorentina next season. That's Stefano Pioli. So he will be the manager next next season at Fiorentina. So they part ways with Stefano Pioli. That's Al Nassr about 3 days ago, at least officially. And now he will go to Fiorentina, and now they've hired, or they've recruited George Jesus to be the next manager there for Al Nassr. Let's wait and see how everything will work out in that respect. Then the other news is regarding the Rail Concha, because this one will undergo his medical on Monday. He's expected to undergo his medicals on Monday to complete a move from Liverpool to Bayer Leverkusen in a deal believed to be worth £30 million, not 30 million euros, point of correction. And this is according to Fabrizio Romano. He says it's £30 million plus £5 million in expected add-ons. However, Liverpool, like I informed you, did insert in a buyback clause that is in the region of £60 million and could possibly rise to £70 million in expected add-ons. Now, the reason as to why clubs insert buyback clauses in some of these players' contracts is because a player may express desire to leave a club when they are still really young. For example, in this particular case, Jarell Quencher is only 22 years of age, and the selling club really see that there is a good talent in that player, but we just do not have the room at the moment to give him more playing time. So because of that, when they are selling the player, they get to insert a buyback clause to say, in 2-3 years' time, if we are interested in a player of that caliber, then we can come back in for this player and buy back him. Now, of course, the other club has the assumption is that the player's value would have improved or increased in whatever period that the player may spend with the buying club. And that's why they say they put in these buyback clauses. So if the buying club is willing to sell after 2 or 3 years, or even if it's 1 year, then Liverpool would have to have the first refusal in this particular case to say, okay, you're selling, but okay, we're not interested. You can go ahead and sell to any other interested parties. I'll give you an example. When Francesco Fabregas left Arsenal, I think that was back in 2010, prior to the start of the 2010-2011 season, he really was intentional on going to Barcelona. Now, and we all remember that transfer saga. He really pushed for that move, including what was reported to be a stage protest of not wanting to return to the team, for pre-season training and things of that nature. But he gave his reasons because he felt a bit of stagnation at the club, that they were not investing enough to have the team improve. He felt like he was carrying the team on his shoulders and things of that nature. So anyways, Arsenal had the first option to buy back. They had the first refusal on Barcelona selling, and it is after Arsenal refused to, rebuy back Francesco Sola Fabregas. Of course, that decision made by Arsene Charles Wenger, that he ended up at Chelsea. That Jose Mourinho, took him to Chelsea, but the player was very willing to return to Arsenal, and I really, really wanted him to return. But because the manner in which he left, Arsene Wenger was a bit taken back to say, I do love you as a player, but it's going to be now at the moment. So that's how he ended up at Chelsea. So practically Liverpool, this is what they're saying. They're basically saying. And I think I get the feeling that Man City had a similar kind of clause in that Liam Delap contract when he left for Ipswich Town. So there it is. Then the other is Paul Pogba. The other news is regarding Paul Pogba. He has completed his move to AC Monaco, signed a new 2-year contract there. That's for the 32-year-old French international. And it was an emotional one. I've seen a video of Paul Pogba in sheer tears as he appended his signature on that contract in the presence of some club officials. And of course, I think he was being accompanied by his agent. I stand to be corrected, or whoever that was, the other gentleman standing in the background. And you could see Paul Pogba in tears. It was an emotional one, given that he's coming back from a 1.5-year ban, from football for being found guilty of for being found in breach of anti-doping rules and things of that nature. So really, I sort of watched it and understood what it meant to him, what it means to get the opportunity to play football once again at the highest stages. Because when you're talking about AC Monaco, is one of the biggest clubs in France, and the French League One is one of the biggest, leagues in Europe. I cannot tell you at what number it is in regards of that order, because it's the Premier League, the Spanish La Liga, the German Bundesliga, the Italian Serie A, and the French League One. Now, I'm not saying that's the, automatic order, but at least those are considered to be the Europe's top 5 leagues. So the mere fact that at the age of 32, after serving a 1.5-year ban, of course it went beyond that, he gets to get another chance to play professional football, is in itself quite impressive. And you could see him really in tears, shedding tears as, he put pen to paper on that contract. So that's what it meant to him. That's how much it means to him. But anyway, that's a done deal. Ansu Fati is also joining AC Monaco initially on loan from Barcelona. Then, as the day fell upon us, Habib Diarra did sign as a Sunderland player. He does join Sunderland from Strasbourg in quite a pricey deal worth 31.5 million euros plus 4 million euros in expected add-ons. So that's Habib Diarra joining Sunderland, the newly promoted side, to the Premier League from the Championship. So it's quite impressive. Then, of course, because Chelsea have so many players, Enzo Maresca has been asked about about players like Josh Achepong, and he said that one is very much in his plans for the future. Same goes for Andre Santos. He was speaking about Andre Santos, and he says he views him as similar to Enzo Fernandez. He said Andre Santos is working well with us and had a very good season with Strasbourg. I see him more like Enzo Fernandez, and as an attacking midfielder, not a defensive midfielder. He's more like Enzo than Moy or Lavia. By Moy, he means Moises Caicedo. Of course, Andre Santos plays in that number 8 kind of role, a bit defensive, a bit offensive. It's usually that number 8 is it's like 40% defensive, 60% offensive. But that's the kind of role he plays. Now Enzo Maresca says he sees him as almost as good as a 10, that he can play as a 10. in that kind of sense. So, but let's wait and see. Chelsea do want to keep him for next season. Let's wait and see how everything does. Now, again, the reason that's why I keep speaking about Chelsea is because they have so many players. I'm interested in seeing how William Estavao will play in this Chelsea team, or how much playing time he can get, as well as Jamie Gittens, as well as Pedro Neto, as well as Cole Palmer, I know they are all different players, but they play literally around the same positions. Noni Madueke, no wonder Noni Madueke has been linked with a potential move from Chelsea, even though Chelsea have not said that they will be interested in selling. Wow. Marco Cucurella has just forced the Benfica goalkeeper into another brilliant save. It was more or less a goalkeeper to beat kind of situation, and he took on that powerful shot to try and beat him at the near post. But the goalkeeper spread his arms quite wide and he saved that. Chelsea have come really, really close on about 3 different occasions in this game. By far, they've been the better side, in my opinion, in as far as this game is concerned. But still, I yet to find a breakthrough to get things done, to get that opening goal of the game. I remember, like I told you, the first game, it ended in a goalless draw in normal time, and it ended up in extra time, and that's how Paulinho went on to score what turned out to be the winning goal in extra time in the 100th minute, and that gave so Paramides advanced at the expense of Botafogo to the quarterfinals of this FIFA Club World Cup. Like I said, we should expect a dark horse from the South American teams, but let's wait and see to complete all the round of 16 games because we will be completing them very, very soon. Speaking of the round of 16 games, I need to check if there are some games that are going to be coming at 4 a.m. because you never know. With these fixtures. Anyway, maybe that's perhaps tomorrow. Okay, same time. Tomorrow it's coming at about 7 p.m. East African time. Paris Saint-Germain will be up against Inter Miami, while Flamengo will be up against Bayern Munich at 11 p.m. That's in the other game the other games at the round of 16. So I think we've tackled most of the topics that I wanted us to cover. The FIFA Club World Cup, Jamie Gittens, George Jesus, Jarell Quensah, Paul Pogba's emotional video as he signed that 2-year contract at Monaco. And then lastly, but not least, is John Duran, the 21-year-old Colombian international, is on the verge of joining Fenerbahce from Al Nassr. Remember, he joined Al Nassr just recently in January from Aston Villa, but Jose Mourinho has made him his primary target for a striker, and that deal, those negotiations are still ongoing between the clubs to get that deal over the line. So do expect that to happen as well, and we see. So let's wait and see how that will sort of transpire in the coming couple of days. And then maybe the other deal I wanted to mention is regarding is in the Spanish La Liga, where Rodrigo Riquelme to Real Betis is a done deal. The player is joining from Atletico de Madrid, although in a deal about 22.5 million euros. That's the expectation there. Quickly, then let's go to maybe if there is some new transfer gossip. I mean, isn't there always? There is always a transfer gossip. So let's look at what's there at the moment. Apparently, this is according to the Mirror, although those rumors were quickly quashed, that Chelsea had been offered the chance to sign Aston Villa's goalkeeper, Emiliano Martinez, at a fee of about £45 million. I think that's a bit high. £45 million for a 32-year-old, even though usually goalkeepers, that's when they are hitting their prime. I mean, 45 is a bit high. The 32-year-old goalkeeper is believed to prefer a move to Manchester United. That's according to the Mirror. But let's wait and see how things will transpire in that regard. Meanwhile, Manchester United are prepared to open formal talks over a deal to sign Martinez after they sell Cameroon goalkeeper Andre Onana. That's according to Football Insider. Andre Onana is one we've spoken about quite often in the last couple of days. Then Liverpool's 22-year-old English defender, Joel Quesha, will have a medical on Monday. We've spoken about that. Liverpool are closing in a deal to sign Crystal Palace's 24-year-old England centre-back in Mark Gehi. That's according to the Mirror. While Darwin Núñez is ready to join Napoli this summer, but the Italian club are unwilling to meet Liverpool's £70 million valuation of the 26-year-old Uruguayan striker. Meanwhile, Manchester United may have to pay players to leave the club this summer because of their lengthy, expensive contracts. And among those is Marcus Rashford, 27 years of age, as well as 20-year-old Argentine winger Alejandro Garnacho, among those they want to sell. So I do not think Man United will go to the extent of having to pay a player like Garnacho to pay him out to leave, but they will get some money for him. I do not think Manchester United's situation is that desperate at the moment. Maybe, and this is just a maybe, with Alejandro Garnacho, with Jadon Sancho. But if you're a manager like Ruben Amorim, by the time you came, Sancho wasn't there. Maybe you institute a clean slate where you give some players a chance, maybe, or maybe you've been told beyond a reasonable doubt that some of these players are sort of cantankerous, or you observed them from far and you said you do not want anything to do with them. But regardless, I do not think it's that United are that desperate to let go of some of these players. The way Arsenal found themselves when they had to let go of Sivko, Lasnak, Socrates, Pastatopoulos, Mesut Ozil, and that kind of thing. So I do not think Man United are in that position as we speak. Anyways, the other is Sunderland have agreed a record £30 million fee for Strasbourg 21-year-old Habib Diarra. We've spoken about that. Then Nottingham Forest have made a £5 million bid to Real Mallorca's Spanish fullback Pablo Maffeo, 27 years of age, while Newcastle and Burnley are still far apart in valuation of James Trafford. That's with the Magpies having had an initial bid of about £25 million for the 22-year-old England goalkeeper turned down. So that's according to Sky Sports. While Crystal Palace are prepared to rival Newcastle, Liverpool, and Tottenham with a move to sign Southampton's 19-year-old English winger Tyler Dibling this summer, according to Football Insider. Now, Man United is one of those clubs that have been linked with a potential move to Tyler Dibling, very, very talented youngster. And Nico Williams has told Barcelona he wants to join them from Atletico Bilbao, but the Spanish winger has demanded that he is able to be registered to play, which could mean Barcelona have to sell players fast in order to meet La Liga's financial requirements. That's according to the Marca, but that's a situation we've really, really spoken widely about in the last couple of weeks, I think, in regards to Barcelona's finances. The other day we spoke about Barcelona's feud with Bilbao, because Bilbao approached La Liga officials questioning whether Barcelona were abiding by the financial fair play rules and whether they are still capable of signing and registering players and things of that nature. Then Al Nassr have already reached an agreement to send Colombian striker John Duran on loan to Fenerbahce. So that's according to Foot Mercato in France. But let's wait and see what will come of those things. Otherwise, it's been a pleasure being with you on this Saturday night as you continue to enjoy the round of 16 at the FIFA Club World Cup. That game between Chelsea and Benfica is still goalless, and we are heading into half time as we speak. Just a second. Yes, we're almost heading into half time. It's been a pleasure doing this with you. Let's meet maybe tomorrow night for tomorrow night's broadcast, maybe You never know. Could something come during the day? Peter Parker is here with us. Apologies, I'm not seeing your comment. Real Madrid is doing very good with the new coach. What's up, champ? Thanks, Peter Parker. Always a pleasure to have you join us. Yeah, I think they're doing fairly well with Xabi Alonso. Of course, for me, it's a little too early to say, but I can see him trying out different things because I think in the last game he played with the back three and the wing backs of Fran Garcia and Alexander Trent-Arnold, and then sort of a compact midfield of Fede Valverde, Adagula, and Jude Bellingham. And then ahead of them was Vinicius Jr. and Goncalo Ramos. Again, because of Kylian Mbappe's absence, I think through injury, I'm waiting to see how everything fits together once Kylian Mbappe is back into the mold. But thank you so much for that submission, Peter Parker. Always a pleasure to have you for whatever little time you can be able to spare to be with us. So it's always a pleasure. Thank you, guys. Like I've told you, I'm sort of catching a cold and it's really, really not left me well, but it's always a pleasure. Have yourselves a blessed night. Allow me to cut it here and wish you a blessed night. Let's meet again tomorrow. Bye-bye.